today's episode of the Shire project. We are installing electric fencing and we're doing it on a budget. Now I could go cut down some limbs and trees and strip it all down and get the post hole digger, dig that out, pound those limbs into the ground, and that would be a lot of work. Or I could use the trees and tap the isolators in there and run that all around. But they're not all positioned perfectly around the property, and where there are trees and where the wire would run, it would be in the way of us getting to the backyard and back to the front of the house. Remember, we have a composting system that needs access, and we need to be able to get back there in general. What we're opting to do is get this installed. This is a 2-mile fence, so it's plenty big for 3/4 of an acre. Got about 0.7 joules stored in about a 0.4 joule output. We're not going to remove this safety tag because it's in the off position, and I don't need to bump it and grab these because, yeah, I've dealt with electric fences before and it hurts. Since we only have one goat, we're going to use one of these from Tractor Supply. They ran about $2 or less. And it's got plenty of options for multi-stranding. Problem with these is getting them put into ground that has clay and rocks. What I opted to do was to take extremely large screwdriver. Why? Because it has a chisel bit on the tip. It's flat and I got a million of them, so if I ruin it, I really don't care. But I took a hammer and pounded that into the ground 6 inches down, and then on these 8-inch potted metal posts, sank those in. It's got a little plastic cheap catch here that keeps it from spinning. Really not going to do much, but for one tiny dwarf Nubian goat, this here is going to work just fine. When dealing with those plastic posts, you don't want to use steel, metal, sledgehammer. You want to pick up one of these. You have a hard rubber side and a softer rubber side. These are what you want to use, or else you will shatter said plastic post. Pre-drill a hole to get those set in, and with the last couple of inches you just tap 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 and it should be good. I'm going to take my screwdriver and the harder end of the rubber mallet. I'm going to try to get it straight as possible, and we just make a hole and tap that in. If you hit a rock, move it. Pretty much it. The hole is dug. Give it a little twist back and forth and pull it straight out. Next, we're going to center that in the hole. Kind of wiggle it to get it started. Position it where you want it. You're going to put a little pressure on there and gently tap down. And there you have it, a budget electric fence post installed. Next, we're going to start wiring these up. I'm just going to finish up and put the rest of these in. Took me about an hour. These are every 6 feet because they are plastic, so you want to keep them fairly close together. Also on this application, you're going to need 3 grounding rods. And those are going to need to be set pretty much as far into the ground as you can get them, with just the tip sticking out of the soil. Now the soil here is clay. It's fairly moist. It rains here very often. There's going to be very good contact, so I'm not worried as I only have one of these grounding rods. That is not the way to do it. You need 3 of them, and just get those staked in a couple feet apart from each other. But we do have one said grounding rod, and this is what we're going to use. So if you need to find the middle for any reason, all you got to do is put your 2 fingers out, just slide them together, pinch, and there's your center. For this, a rubber mallet is not going to work. You're going to need a little sledgy or one of those post hole pounders, but because this will fit completely inside the post hole pounder, that's not going to work. We're going to have to use a sledgehammer. You've got an adorable, cute 2.5. A sledgehammer is what you're going to need. Again, let the hammer do the work. You don't have to swing this like you're splitting wood. Probably should wear gloves. Now you notice there's a hole here from the vibrations. What we're going to do is pour water down in that. Once that's done, what we're going to do next is we're going to pound the soil in around it and pack everything in very gently. In a semicircular motion. You don't have to do it very hard. Lastly, what you're going to do, once you've got this indentation made, is you're going to want to fill this with water. Just spend about 2 or 3 minutes doing this. Very gentle taps. Just tap, 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 tap. This is going to let me know how compact the soil is. That water's not sinking down very fast. If that went straight down in, I wasn't finished. I'd have to keep pounding and tapping that around. But that water's staying there. Yeah, we're done. So next, what you're going to need is one of these. This is a rebar grounding clamp of sorts. I don't know the exact name of what you call these, but you could see in this corner here, this point, that's where your copper wire is going to go. It's going to lay right in there. You cannot have the insulator inside here. It's not going to work. As that thread gets closer and closer, it's going to push the rebar, yeah, that hurts, up against here, and the metal is going to push against the wire and it's going to pinch it closed. That's how that works. On the bevel on the back, insert your wire. You're going to slide it over. You're going to turn this a couple of foot-pounds. Make sure that's good and snug. I've already pre-tightened this. It's good. You're going to grab this and pull it. Can't pull it out. It's set. And give it a good twist. Try to pull it off back and forth and wiggle it, see if it'll move. If it moves, get it twisted a little tighter. And the grounding is done. I'm going to set that in the sun, let it keep charging. Next, I'm going to use some zip ties. And on the back of those posts, they have these little notches for the wires to go through. I'm just going to use those to get that zip tied up. There are 3 holes. I'm just going to use the 2 side ones. Pretty simple. It's quick, easy. Next, we're going to run multi-strands, and then we'll connect it to the positive, and we're done. But we wanted to make sure that we had it grounded. In order to run these wires, we come in, set the wire in the channel, go around the back side, set it back in the channel, make sure it has this twist. This way the wire doesn't get pulled back and forth too much, and it keeps some tension on there. And then once we get down to the bottom, we did the same thing. We came in, we twisted around, and we're just going to feed it, and then we're done. Aluminum post, galvanized aluminum, potted metal. We have a goat, so Pip is his name. Family calls him Bubba. He responds to both. I'm pretty sure if you just shake a feed cup, he'll come running regardless. Is that the hard rubber side? That's the softer. Yeah, anyways, we're just going to repeat the process 30 or 40 times. Should be fun. So later on, I'm going to create a fence. I've got to hit Tractor Supply again and get some, I think they're like springs, like real stretchy springs that will conduct all the way through. That way we can pass the electricity through, and that'll be our gate. Very simple setup. I don't have to use a wood frame and start building a door and add a condominium, maybe a tree house on there. No, we keep it simple. So yeah, a stretchy, we'll get one of those stretchy home defense. It's like a ring for an off-gridder. Probably shouldn't be washing my hands in this. This is the duck water. They've been pooing in all day, but use what you got.